So what's the one area of the game that I need to work on the most and I can almost guarantee you are not spending enough time on for yourselves? Hi guys, my name is Peter Finch and welcome down to the sun-drenched Quest Golf Academy here at Prairie Sports Village, and today we're going to be talking about the wedges. So this video feeds on from the FSX Skills challenges, which if you haven't checked out, I'll leave a link in the description here, the description in the video here. And while I was delighted to actually achieve that goal, it has to be said it has now left my practice a little bit empty because that was one of the main things that I was working on. But looking at my stats, and certainly just from a personal feeling of what I really know to be true in many respects, my short game with my wedges, my pitching especially, is pretty awful. So what's the answer? Well, I have created 2 wedge tests which I'm going to take you through and exactly how that competitive practice is going to aid me in the long run. I'm also going to be talking through some wedge techniques and what you can learn and practice. So the first thing we're going to be looking at is actually over there. So this is the first thing we're looking at. This is my wedge chart. Now with my new wedges, since I got them, I've not really had a proper go at the different distances. And what I've done here from 50 all the way up to 135 yards, I have put down my different swings that I need to use with my different wedges to achieve the distances that I want. So what I've done previously with my distances is, let's say with my pitch wedge, hit a 3/4 shot and then gone, okay, that distance is 120 yards. That's basically my 3/4 wedge. That's what I'm going to build my distances around. But what I've done this time is I've given myself those specific yardages of those 5-yard increments and then built a swing around those yardages. And to achieve all these different distances, I've basically got 5 different swings that I can call upon with my 4 different wedges. So my wedges, I've got my pitching wedge, and then I've got a 50 degree, a 54 degree, and then a 60. So this is a swing which I've worked on with Dan Whitaker. He showed me this a few months ago now, really. And it's quite simple. So getting set up a little bit open to the target. I always like to set a little bit open to the target with my wedges anyway. It just helps me rotate through a little bit better. But with this swing, all we want to be doing is taking it back to about halfway, feeling like the club face is actually a little bit more closed than it otherwise would be. And that will then force me to turn through, keep my hands out of the stroke, using my pivot and my turn to send the ball forward. So it's only a little half swing. So it's getting set up, just halfway back with that slightly closed club face outside the hands, and then rotating through. And when I use that, I can actually get that low, skimmy, spinny shot. Now the second swing that I've been working on is basically a toe open 3/4 shot, and this is pretty specialized for my lob wedge, which goes 55 yards. So what I do is I set open, I take the club away outside my hands, feel like the club face is a little bit more open than it normally would be, and then I can accelerate through, turn through, the ball pops pretty much straight up in the air and goes about 55 yards. So it's getting set up, toe feels like it's opening in that backswing, and then rotating it through. And I know when I accelerate as much as I can, it's going to be going about 55 yards. It goes very high, lands very quickly, and has that bit of backspin. So the next little swing I've got is the ZJ swing, or the Zach Johnson swing. And this is a little bit different than some of the other techniques that I use, but it's just to bridge some of these gaps. So I'd say less a 60-yard shot and a 70-yard shot. How do you actually bridge that gap? How do you get that 65 yards? Well, this is one of the techniques that I use. So I set my body a little bit more open than I normally would do. I get the ball positioned right off my back toe. I strengthen my grip a little bit, so that would strengthen the club face moving through the point of impact. And what I do is I take a lot of the wrist hinge out of the backswing and use my body to rotate as hard as I can. So ball at the back of my stance, a little bit more of a stronger grip, turn it back and through with the body. And because I've got a little bit less loft, pretty much exactly the same ball speed, so it's given me that little bit of a gap, that little bit of an extra impetus on the ball, which helps me gap correctly. So my normal wedge technique, so this is with a 50 degree that I've got here. What I'll tend to do is place the ball position quite central in my stance. I don't want to move it too far back or too far forward on a non-specialized shot or a non-specialized distance, because I want the delivery to be quite consistent. So ball position is quite central, feet slightly open. I'm going to put about 60% of the weight on my front foot, and then I've got 3 swing lengths. So a half swing, that's just my left arm getting parallel to the ground, a 3/4 swing, so a little bit further with my left arm, and a full swing when I've got my full rotations in place. So for my half swing, all I'm concentrating on is keeping my sternum over the ball. Like I said, that little bit of weight on my front foot, my body a little bit open, that half swing, and then just rotating through. Trying not to move too far forward, trying not to rock back, and just trying to deliver a consistent dynamic loft into the point of impact and get that club just bottoming out after the point of impact. So using those different swings, the different lofts, and then the different positions of my hand on the handle, I've basically mapped out all the shots from 50 yards to 135 yards. I've had a really good grind on this practicing as well, so I think I've got the distances about where I need them to be. But this is where the second part of my practice now comes into play. It's the skills challenges. Now with the skills challenges, what I've done is I broke it up into 2 games. So starting at 50 yards, then the second target being at 60, then 70, then 80, then 90, 9 targets in total. And then what I'm going to do is complete that, switch it over to my second skills challenge, which basically goes from 55 yards to 65 to 75 and so on and so forth for 9 targets. So note on the targets here, what I've done is I've set the center ring, the 5-point ring, to a diameter of 5 yards. Then the white ring, so the 3-point ring, that is at 7 yards, and then the outer ring, that is at 10 yards. Struggle to get all those words out. So the center target allows me some space to actually land the ball in and get it stopping, because what I want to try and avoid is actually pitching the ball before and then rolling it into the target. This is all about spin control and distance control. Okay, here we go. Starting at the 50 yards, I've got my 60-degree wedge, so I'm going to have my half downswing here. And like I said, no idea what I'm actually going to score here. I got the distances, I've practiced them for about an hour, and let's see. So 50 yards, 60 degree, that downswing. Come on. Managed to simmer just a touch. Yep, I've always preferred to do that. I'd always prefer just to be after the pin with my wedges, because actually getting them there, that's the kind of chronic mistake that I make. 60 yards, same swing. I'm just switching to now the 54-degree wedge and gripping down just to take a little bit of length off the club. Sit, 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 sit. 64 yards, so 4 yards too long. Just a bit too much of a swing, really. 70 yards, so half swing on my 54 using the ZJ method. Go on, settle in there. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's probably my best strike so far, actually, really hit that well. Fourth target at 80 yards. So this is my 3/4 54 and a grip halfway down again, just to take a little bit of length off the club. Leaked a bit, is it okay? Leaked a bit right. Didn't feel like that, but I trust the machine more than my feelings. Bit of Skynet action going on. So 90 yards, 3/4 50-degree swing. Again, this is me gripping down on this about halfway. That was a bit bottomy. I think it's going to be okay though. Oh wow, good job it was bottomy. 93 yards, so 100 yards. This is my pitching wedge swing. So this is my grip down pitch wedge. Normally can be relied upon on the course. So let's see how it goes on this test. So gripping it halfway down. Felt a bit pulley. Oh, very pulley. That's annoying. Perfect for distance, just a bit. So 110, pitch and wedge again, just a half swing, the ZJ swing this time though, a little bit more around the body. I've had no scores so far. Oh, get a kick. know what? No, keep going, keep going, keep going. I'm saying get a kick, but that's pitched a lot shorter. It's carried 101. So that's a lot shorter than I want it to be. I'm in my FSX Skills challenge mode. I'm going for scores rather than where it pitches. Yeah, I'm losing my mind. 120 yards. So this is basically a wedge, just a nice solid little wedge. Yeah, should be good. And by good, I mean slightly long, 2 yards long and to the right-hand side. So that's the thing, I mean 2 yards long and to the right-hand side, that's not finished that far from the pin, but it's really tightening my dispersion and just giving me a task which is beyond my current level of ability, but just about attainable. That's where I'm going to find my improvement. 130 yards, wedge again, a little bit more of a ZJ swing just to ensure that distance. That's going to be too far left, I think. Not bad. Yeah, just literally just a bit too far left. Damn, no score on the last. But 22, so 22 on the one starting at 50. Now let's switch over to the 55 and then going up in 10-yard increments. Remember, I did this so I can mix up the swings. So I'm not just doing the same ones again and again. Draw. Yeah, that's going to have to draw a lot to get back to that. So 14 points on the second one. Oof. So that's not a great grand total to begin with. But like I said, this is just the start. And again, it just highlights that with those wedges, they're obviously not good enough. They're obviously not where I need them to be. I've already mentioned that about 64 times, but it's just those fine margins as well, because quite a few of those zeros were just out, apart from that last one, which was horrendous, but just out. So it shows and identifies areas I need to work on as far as those distances, but also the accuracy. There's a few left, a few right. That wasn't really very good either. So a lot to work on there. Let's have a roundup. So guys, thank you so much for watching. Make sure that you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Follow me on my other social media platforms as well, which are all linked in the description below. Hopefully you found the wedge part of this interesting as far as the technique is concerned. Hopefully this is something that you can build into your own game, and hopefully you can take inspiration from the practice and actually start doing that a little bit more as well. And remember, this is a whole new ethos on how I'm going to be practicing this year. It's not just about the block technique practice. It's not just about improving technically. It's about improving myself in a competitive situation like these tests are going to be. So when I get out on the course, I can have more confidence in what I'm doing. So guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you down here next time.